everyone, and thank you for your interest in this virtual poster. I am Alizée Vernouillet, and today I am presenting you the results of a project on the amazing pinyon jays and their food storing behavior in collaboration with Hera Casidsid and Debbie Kelly at the University of Manitoba. Caching refers to the behavior during which individuals store food for future time when resources are scarce. Caching behavior is found in many species, such as chickadees, corvids, squirrel, or even dogs. But food cached can be pilfered, stolen by others. To reduce the risk of losing their cache to others, caching birds can display cache protection strategies, such as stopping caching or caching in hidden locations when observed. The social environment of an individual may also provide important cues on the initiation of cache protection strategies, for instance, by only adjusting caching behavior in the presence of individuals that are likely to pilfer, but not in the presence of non-pilfering individuals. In this study, we used pinyon jays, a highly social corvid that live in groups of hundreds of individuals and is highly dependent on cached pine seeds. Because pinyon jays are always surrounded by others, we wanted to determine whether pinyon jays differ in their caching behavior when observed by thieves or by non-pilfering bystanders. We replicated the natural caching behavior with 6 birds, and each bird experienced 5 blocks of each 4 conditions in a randomized manner. The caching birds was given pine nuts to cache for 45 minutes in 2 visually distinct trays in the caching compartment. Depending on the condition, the observing compartment was either empty, as in the alone condition, contained a taxidermy bird on an object condition, a non-pilfering conspecific in the bystander condition, or a pilfering conspecific in the thief condition. Who the bystander and the thief are remained the same throughout the experiment. Then, for all conditions, the risky tray was put in the observing compartment during the 3-minute pilfering session in view of the caching bird, whereas the safe tray was put out of reach. Caches were removed from the risky tray out of view by the experimenters to mimic pilferage for the object and thief conditions, but not during the alone and bystander conditions. After the pilfering sessions, both trays were given back to the caching bird to view, eat, and move their caches in private. Thus, if birds responded to the presence of an observer, they would change their caching behavior during the object, bystanders, and thief conditions. If they only responded to the presence of a live observer, they would change their behavior during the bystander and the thief conditions. If they solely responded to cache theft, they would change their behavior during the object and thief condition. On the left graph, the y-axis represents the total number of seeds cached by the caching bird during each condition. We found no differences in the total number of seeds cached per condition. On the right graph, the y-axis represents the number of seeds cached in each tray, and the x-axis corresponds to each tray. When focusing on the location of the caches, we see that birds cached more seeds in the safe tray than in the risky tray for all conditions. When comparing between conditions, we found no differences in the number of seeds cached in the safe tray, but there was significantly fewer seeds cached in the risky tray during the bystander and the thief conditions in comparison to the alone condition. Overall, we found that caching birds allocated their caches in safe areas, indicating they perceive the caching environment as risky, even in the absence of an observer. This preference for safe locations may be due to a previous caching experiment with the same birds. However, we still see that preferential allocation is stronger for conditions with live observers than when alone or when in the presence of an object. The object condition has been previously used in other studies to evaluate whether birds associate the presence of something in the observing cage as a threat for their caches. It is noteworthy that those studies used a water bottle, an artificial human-made object, and found no differences in the caching behavior when the bird was alone or with the object. Here we used a more naturalistic object and found an intermediary response between alone and live observers. Finally, to answer our research question, we found no evidence that pinyon jays differ in their caching behavior when observed by thieves or by non-pilfering bystanders. This result may be explained by the individual's variability of pilfering intention due to intrinsic factors such as hunger, energy level, age, or environmental factors such as seasonality or food abundance, an intriguing avenue that warrant further investigation. This study wouldn't have been possible without the amazing birds and the support of the Kelly Lab. Finally, thank you for your attention, and if you have any question, please contact me on Twitter or by email. Have a great day.